All right. Today we have Anna, handstand coach from Munich, from the Munich crew, and we're gonna talk again a little bit about handstands. And yeah, Anna, maybe you can give us a little introduction about yourself, what you want to share, maybe with the people, something like that.
Yes, I'm Anna and I'm a handstand coach and practitioner, and I started after dancing. Dancing is my background, and then I stopped with 21 and I'm 29 now. And I was a little bit lost after I stopped practicing dancing because I didn't really know what to do next and what I want to do. And at that time I was underweight, so I thought it might be a good idea to start strength training. And then I started at the gym with regular strength training, but I couldn't really I didn't think this is it. I want to do that. And especially upper body, I wasn't really does it make sense for me to train upper body? I don't know, and what for? And then I thought I have to search for something else I'm more excited about. And then I found calisthenics, and it's basically strength training, but with body weight. And I could see a sense in pulling myself up, and that's when I started calisthenics. And when I came to Munich, I met the calisthenics crew of Munich, and I saw that people are actually training for handstands, because I've always been fascinated by handstands. I think it's just awesome because it's so simple yet so beautiful. And I don't know, I've always been fascinated by it. And I tried as a child, but I couldn't really stay on my hands, of course. And I was too impatient to actually practice it. And then I trained it again when I was a teenager because I thought it might help for dancing. And there are some elements in dancing which require kind of a handstand, like a quick one. And I was kicking against the wall and trying to get off the wall. And I was standing in a banana shape for a second and then falling down. And I was like, okay, I don't get it. I will just leave it. And then I saw in Munich that people are actually training it. So that's how I started my handstand journey.
It's really interesting because I come also from a dancing background.
Okay, I didn't know that actually. We've already spent some days together here, but I didn't know that. Okay, I thought you were a calisthenics athlete.
Before that, I was a swimmer. And then I did dancing, movement, and with movement came calisthenics, handstand, bodyweight training, and But before that, I was doing hip-hop dance, like dance battles, underground battles.
Yeah.
Also
That's
trying
nice.
different styles like salsa, bachata, and then I came in contact with the b-boys, the breakdancers. And I started then handstand with the breakdancers as a summer project just for fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know, somehow it really suited me and I stuck with it. And then I was more into also building a stronger, healthier body, and I was more becoming healthier and stronger. And then I also moved slowly out of the dancing scene into the movement scene. And then I went to the first handstand workshop, and then
Which one was that?
Your first? It was in Hamburg. So I already had a good connection from dancing and friends in Hamburg.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Hey Lucas, here's a handstand workshop from Yuval Ayalon.
Yeah.
And you can sleep at my place for the weekend." And had a really nice time there, and was just stunned with the amazing people and things I saw there. And what was your dancing background?
It was basically jazz and modern mostly, but also everything around it that supports it, like ballet and hip hop for some time, and tap dance. I don't know if that's the right word, but where you just click a lot, and I did that for 7 years or something, I don't know why, but I liked it at that point. But it's also funny because I think Yuval is kind of the entry for many people.
Yes,
I think
for sure.
Everybody already visited a workshop from Yuval.
Yes, every podcast, one time for sure, Yuval Ayalon is mentioned.
Yeah, that's true.
Crazy how he's connected and the energy of the game.
Yeah.
And but also I think with the dancing I did a lot of flexibility stuff just for dancing.
Definitely.
I learned the splits, and so I already had some background with flexibility, and I think also this really helped me to get a better handstand in the future.
Definitely,
And
yeah. I mean, it's not just flexibility. I think it's part of it. And I also, like, people are asking all the time, like, did you have the splits like since you were a child, or did you learn it? And I think I learned it in like the dance classes, but it wasn't a good way to learn it, I would say. It was more or less just go down, and I remember that I had some like issues with my hamstrings, like the regular stuff that happens a lot if you just go down. But it also helped a lot for just like the general feeling for the body, and what you do and how you do it, and like the quality of movement maybe, and how to make things look pretty. And I think that's a big part of hand balancing, because there are people who are on a very high level, but still it doesn't look as good as people who are on a much lower level, because they are dancing it. Like they're dancing handstands and not just like doing skills and one hand, the other hand, crazy skills, and like the connection of everything. And I think that's what makes hand balancing interesting, and also interesting to watch. And yeah, so I think that helps a lot, the dancing background.
I also think, like, for me, dance is not just a sport, it's also an art form.
Yeah.
And I also had the mindset when I went into handstand, it was not just a sport, it was for me also an art form and form of expression. I could express myself, and of course, like with the dancing background, you want to make it elegant, and
Yes.
yeah, and you can definitely feel and see that in a lot of handstands.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then when you first came to Munich, how was your handstand then?
Oh, non-existent. So I started with calisthenics, but more like the pull-up, push-up part, so more the strength part. And it was when I moved to Munich that I suddenly thought, okay, maybe I could learn a handstand, because people are learning it, and they are my age, and they just have to practice a lot. And I just underestimated how long it will take me to learn a handstand, because before that I was just doing it like 3 days, and then like, okay, I don't get it. It's not my thing, or this is not for me. And then I thought, okay, maybe I can do it. And my goal was to stand a 10-second straight handstand, and I had no idea of hand balancing and hand balancing training. So, and I thought, I'm not scared, I can just do it without the wall, because I thought people were actually also only using the wall because they're scared. So I just kicked up again and again, like 1,000 times for like 9 months or something. And then at the end I could balance for 10 seconds, which is kind of surprising. It was kind of a solid form. And I also think dancing helps with that, because if I wouldn't dance or wouldn't have danced, I think I wouldn't achieve such a line with only kicking up. For most people it doesn't work like that. So this is not a good idea, don't do that like I did it. I mean, for some people it works, but usually you end up in a weird form and it's just not efficient to train. And I had no idea what is possible on your hands, because I didn't really use social media actively at that time. So I didn't know about hand balancing. And then I had like a really interesting moment, because I saw a girl at the park, and the calisthenics scene is pretty much there are a lot of men inside. So I only knew some sorry, but a little bit of banana handstands. Sorry, Munich calisthenics crew. And sometimes a handstand push-up, but not really like hand balancing. And then I saw that girl, and she was pressing up and doing leg waves in her big splits and going down again. And then I was like, okay, I want to do this, like exactly this. And that was also the starting point of taking the training more serious, which also meant getting teachers, online, offline workshops and stuff.
You did more workshops in the beginning, or you started with online coaching when you used social media in the beginning? How was it like?
Yeah, I started with workshops, because I didn't know that online coaching exists in the handstand world. And I started with workshops, and I basically visited every workshop I could find in Germany and Europe, and learned from a lot of great teachers. And then at some point I also discovered more the social media world of hand balancing, and I also saw, okay, there are people offering coaching, and I had very good experience with strength coaching, so I knew it would help me a lot. And I actually started online coaching when I wanted to learn the one-arm handstand. And it was the best decision. I would do it again. Definitely, and I still do it again. Like, I'm still working with coaches regularly.
Yeah, I also feel like if you're serious about the one-arm handstand, it's a hell of a ride, and
and it's a smart move, definitely. Yes. Like, yeah.
And now she's doing amazing one-arm handstands. And,
thanks.
It's the handstand convention is you have done this more than one or twice. It's like
it's my third time.
Third time, yeah.
Yeah, and in the first year I was also kind of participating in another convention. So third or fourth times, depending on how you see it. Yeah.
And here it's also I always said here, for me it's like a great experience here, and it's also like so nice to hear different opinions from different people on different topics.
Yes.
Or even on the same topics, but just from a different perspective. And I always also like to ask the question, like, how do you feel like what is good for a beginner? Maybe some advice for beginners who were just starting handstand or trying to struggle with the first 10 seconds.
Yeah. So definitely don't do what I did. So don't just kick up and like hope for the best. It's not efficient, and for many people it will also take a lot longer than when I just kicked up, because they have different prerequisites. And maybe it definitely makes sense to learn what your strengths and weaknesses are and improve your weaknesses, and don't only use your strength. For example, if you are strong but not flexible in your shoulders, yes, you can balance in a banana handstand, but if you want to go further, you will stuck at a certain point. So it makes sense to start practicing your weaknesses as early as possible, because you will be very frustrated if you can balance on two arms, but then, for example, you want to learn a tuck and a 7 whatever, and then you have to do all the flexibility work, and it takes time. So start early with that to actually improve it, and focus a lot on your shoulders. So either flexibility or strength-wise, or both. It's very different from people to people, but that's in general a good thing to just like analyze your shoulders. What's with your shoulders?
And now you live in Munich for how many years?
For 6 years, yes.
So in Munich, for anybody who maybe doesn't know, there's an amazing handstand community.
It is,
and you spent like 6 years there. You see it grow. You build it yourself a little bit. How was your experience on the community aspect of handstand in Munich?
It was very interesting, because people are like, how does it come that so many people are in Munich that do the hand balancing? And we're like, we built that together. It's not like people were coming and then they were already great, but we were like beginners. We were practicing at the park, no one could do anything. And then at some point we were like, oh wow, we can all do freestanding handstands now. And then somebody said, yeah, let's just wait. In 3 years we're all standing on one arm. And that's how it is right now. Like we got involved, and then we saw, okay, someone's practicing one arms, and he's doing good. Like, I can do it too. And that's how it started. And I mean, there was also, some people got lost on the way, of course, because they don't want it to be that much into hand balancing. But that's totally fine, because we can also be friends even if that person doesn't do one-arm handstands. So it changed a bit, but it's really, really cool to grow with the community, and also to be, you're driven by it basically, because you see, okay, that's possible, and she's kind of my level, or she was my level a couple of months ago. I can do it too.
And it's like you met more or less in the calisthenics park and outdoor parks, or you had some kind of maybe circus where you meet as a place to be, or where was it like? Was it outside? Or?
Yeah, it was outside. We met outside, and then we met in winter at the gym. It was like basically a gym from the university, but we could just go there. But now we're more or less at the park, like outside, always. And in the winter time, we don't have a proper space to train, unfortunately. So in the winter time it's tough for all of us, but in summer it's really nice, and we always meet up at the park outside. It's a calisthenics park, basically.
And how do you feel like right now? I feel in summer, or especially at the convention, I feel like the training volume is super high. But then, like in the near future, the German winter arrives,
Yeah.
and it's a different kind of game.
Yeah, it is.
How do you feel about like keeping or playing with intensities in training? Sometimes you push a little harder, and then you have like more like an easier practice. How do you manage or balance this, or you always push hard? Or
Yeah, I think in general, I would say I'm a very balanced person. So I'm not the type of person who is like super into it for some months and then I just like won't train anymore. I think there are some people who do it that way. And also, if you spend like a lot of time of your day into hand balancing, chances are that at some point you will maybe say, okay, this is too much, like an all-in or nothing person.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm more like the balanced one, and I like to have the same routines and routines that work for me long term. And I'm also, I think, patient. I don't know if I would say that, but patient enough so I don't think like, okay, I have to train twice per day now to really achieve like a super high level. Because for me as an athlete, it's fun. I just do it for fun. Like I don't want to perform, not that I'm never doing it, but I don't want to be like the best or anything. That's not what I want to achieve. I want to have like fun and get better, of course, and get certain things. But it's more or less fun. And if I wouldn't have fun anymore with hand balancing, I would stop it. Even though I'm a handstand coach, because I know I'm good enough to practice and to teach a lot of things. And it's also different to practice for yourself and to teach well. And I also think you benefit a lot from having a coach who's practicing herself or himself. Because you just know better, but it's different. And as a coach, this is like, I take this way more serious than my own practice. It doesn't mean that I'm not focused or determined or anything, but it's more like everything is like, I want to have fun with that. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that every session is fun and everything I do, but like the whole concept is about, I want to enjoy this. This is a good thing in my life and I want to keep it.
Yes. I also feel like it's like a flower, so it takes time to build up, and then you want to take care of it, and also not give. You don't want to overburn,
yeah, that's true.
Like I felt like a lot of disciplines, like in swimming or dancing, it was like more or less 4 or 5 years, and then I was a little bit burnt out, and then I lost the fun, and I think keeping the fun in something, it's really, really important.
Definitely. And that can mean different things to everyone, because for some it's like, it is fun for me to go all in and to like practice day and night basically. And for me it's not. For me it's more like, I have enough. If I practice 2.5 hours, that's fine. Then I want to do something else then.
And how do you feel about the competition part? Like you're a competitive person, or you're just how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would say I'm not a competitive person at all. And I also think it takes away a lot of joy for myself. I know that it's different for some people. And I also think in hand balancing, it's difficult to speak about competition, and that's why I also like it, because it's not like a 1 rep max competition where you can basically say, okay, I moved more weight than you. But there's like so many components, and that's what I also said in the beginning, with there are people who are on a lower level than others, but still I enjoy watching them more, because I feel more when I see them. And I like that it's not comparable, because everybody is so different and can do different things, and can develop her or his own style. And if that's what you meant with competition.
Yeah, it's like I was just also like, I felt like a lot before it was swimming, racing, you want to be faster than others. Dancing, it's like dance battle. But in handstand, I really feel like
it's all
it's a lot of community and sharing, but it's still like the most beautiful thing in the world. Also for me, I feel like it. I really enjoy it and
Yeah.
I find it really beautiful. And but it's still like you of course you can then move into circus and be a little bit more competitive, but also like really enjoying teaching other people and
Yes.
sharing knowledge, and this is also, I don't know, I feel like it's just always a nice middle ground of not striving for so much competitiveness, and just also
Yeah.
it's calmness, and yeah, it's just a beautiful discipline.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
yeah, and how do you feel like about handstand and mixing other things with handstands? Maybe like, do you do
Acro
other
dance.
things besides your handstand training for physical capacity or athleticism?
I do strength training twice per week, and it's like a full body strength training. I basically do it for, it's part of my balanced approach, I would say, because I know that handstands, you can do a lot with it, but still it's upper body push in the end. So there's a lot more, and I don't want to be only strong in one thing. I think it's a little time investment for what you get out of it. I think if you train full body twice per week, you are pretty well covered, and it's not a lot of time you have to invest. So I also like these approaches where you're like, how little can I like give input and get something out of it? And yeah, that's how I feel. But I don't dance anymore. But I would be interested to combine acro with handstands. I think that's really nice. But also it's not really balancing so much, but more like, it's less balancing then, I would say. Yeah, and that's interesting too. Or what do you have in mind?
I don't know. Like, I just said, like, maybe for example, I do a little bit juggling or backbending, like also like side projects but because I feel like handstand is really much, but there are also many other, in general, movement is beautiful. Like every movement, and there are other disciplines. Like, for example, I really enjoy contortion and stuff like this also. But it's also you just have limited amount of time. And
that's it. Things. Yeah, I was doing contortion too for some months with the coach, and she was really good, and I improved a lot. But I was always sore. Like that's so hard to combine, like a thing like backbends, and like my whole posterior chain was super sore, and then do pull-ups, and then still do handstands. So I also search for pieces that are not super fatiguing, so I can put a lot of them inside. But at some point I will definitely want to improve that part more. And also I also have to say that my backbend is kind of okay, or good, so I don't need to put in a lot of work. If I wanted to do contortion shapes, of course I had to do more, but my flexibility is more like my strength, so I'm more focusing on my weaknesses. So my weakness is definitely strength in general. Also when I started, my flexibility was always great, and shoulders, especially shoulders. But I was just super weak basically. So I remember I tried to puppy press, and I have a big split, so it should be super easy. But at that point I was just like, I don't get any of my weight into my arms. How do you do that? So that's always something for me to work on extra, the strength.
And I also feel like I have the feeling handstand is a lot general athleticism for a lot of disciplines. So when you have like a solid handstand, it can be good for dancing, it can be good for even just people in general to stay healthy, and it's just a great tool to have it as a foundation, as a human body. You don't just have to take it to the one-arm handstand, or even beyond the one-arm handstand.
I also think you benefit a lot from just being upside down and not being scared. I also had some fails on my bike where I was kind of like falling over, and I was like super chill because I was like, yeah, I know what to do. I mean, it depends on the speed and stuff, of course, but I feel like it just helped a lot. I was like, okay, nothing happened. I know how to deal with this, and so I definitely agree.
And but it's also like there are people like that taking it also really far with the discipline. Like I remember when I started, I was really much into the movement world, and I said no special.
Specialization?
Yes.
Yeah.
And but now I can find myself, and I'm really getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's something I would not have expected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do you feel about this aspect? Like, was it in the beginning like, oh, you said like you just want to have 10 seconds straight arm handstand, and now it's you striving also really deep in this discipline, and how far you want to take it? Like, is it how deep you want to go and fell in love with the discipline?
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, and I also think from a certain point on, you have to kind of specialize in handstands to actually get better, because it just takes so much time to improve when you're on one arm and to get everything solid and to get new shapes. And it's something that I never experienced on two arms. It was like if I do, as soon as I could balance and straight, I could also balance tuck and straddle. Like it just came. It was super easy. And when I started the one arm journey, my absolute goal was to hold a straddle one arm. I wasn't really planning on doing other crazy stuff, because I just thought, okay, I know this is like a big deal. Everybody's making a big deal out of it. And I know I have to count with several years. So I'm always thinking in the next step. And that was my next step back then. And then I learned it faster than I thought. I think that's different for many people, because everybody's like, okay, now I can balance on two arms, now I can balance on one arm. And for me, it was like a big thing. And then I got a coach, and I trained, and I could balance in a short time on one arm, as from my perspective and what I expected. But I thought other shapes would come a lot faster. So that was like kind of frustrating for me, especially this winter, for example, when I realized, okay, this is actually hard work to get the tuck solid and to get a straight. And how hard is a straight one-arm handstand? I was not prepared for that. And so that's like the progress that I expected was different. I thought it would take a lot of time to actually get the one arm in any kind of form, but if you have it, you can also do other shapes quite quickly, which is not the case. And coming back to your question with how far I want to go with handstands.
Are there certain limits? Like for me, I feel like switches or something I'm not so interested right now, because it's also injury-wise, and I want to do it like when I'm 50 or 60. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's the same for me, basically. So my main goal is to keep up a practice that I love for as long as possible. And that's the biggest goal. And if it means that I have to be less advanced or train less, then that's fine for me. But of course, I'm curious, like, because I started super late, with like, I think I started with 24. And I'm already like surprised, like if you would show me like what I can do now, like now it's like I cannot do a lot, especially if you're here. It's like, okay, I cannot do that.
It's still really, really solid.
But if you would have shown me that like 5 years ago, I would thought like, no, this is not possible for me. So I am really curious how far can I go, but I also know, for example, like a one-arm press. This is like, I'm not going to one-arm press probably, like the sitting one, like the stalder press basically. And that's fine, because I think you can do so much. That's not that move. But I really want to have like beautiful flows on one arm and switching from one side to the other, and deep, like also flexibility-wise, deep side bends. I think they're all of flags. They're super nice, backbends, and I think there's a lot to discover still. But it's not like I have something fixed in mind, like I want to be this or that, or Cirque du Soleil, or the best of the world. It's more like I want to have fun as long as possible, and also see what's possible for me, of course.
Yeah, and I will definitely link all the profiles of Anna's journey down below, and yeah, feel free to see where the journey goes. And
yeah, it was really nice talking to you
yeah,
at this beautiful place.
thank you so much.
Thanks.